Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Lucky Dog Sim Racing Trucks on Thursday. 100 laps here at Chicagoland Speedway. Hopefully we have a good race for you tonight. So tonight is our season finale for the truck series. Next week we'll be starting recruitment races. So if you like what you see tonight and you want to come run with us, definitely look us up on Iracing. Same time as we run the races typically. So practice opens at 7 p.m. Broadcast goes live about 15 minutes to 8. Qualifying at 8 o'clock, race at around 8:05. We're running a little bit behind tonight, but that's okay. So, like I mentioned, we have our season finale this evening, and we'll go ahead and we'll go run through our starting lineup. Starting on pole, we have the number 23 of Mr. Ray Zerkut. Starting to his outside, the number 4, we have Larry Eddy. Starting third, we have the 78 of Gary Sapinski. To his outside is the 429 of Paul Witt in fourth. Starting fifth, we have the 57 of Jeff Gilmore. In sixth, the 24 of Jason Adams. Starting seventh, we have the number 9 of John Held. And in eighth, the 126 of Robert Hooligan. Starting ninth is the 777 of Michael Pegg. Starting 10th is the 43 of Sandy Curtis. Behind them in 11th is the 89 of Randolph Richard. And in 12th, the 111 of John Henderson. Starting 13th is the 33 of Gary Ragland, and in 14th is the 50 of Todd Willis. 15th is the 129 of Kim Kraus, and in 16th is the 59 of Ralph Blair. Starting 17th is the 52 of Gary Whitmer Sr., and in 18th we have the 19 of Ben Gear. Starting 19th should be the 91 of Joel Guy, and in 20th we have the 58 of Mr. Chris Hogue. And that is your starting lineup as they roll through turn 1 behind the pace car. Chicagoland going to be a very interesting race that we have going on tonight. We only have about 44 or 45 laps of fuel, so we're going to probably see a variety of different pit strategies this evening. If you have someone who can save that extra 5 laps of fuel per run, we might see someone try to make this in one stop. If someone's not confident they can make it halfway, then we're probably going to see that person stop twice and more than likely split this into 3 even segments. Tire wear is going to be monstrous here. Chicagoland is a very bumpy track, very similar to Charlotte, very similar to Las Vegas in the fact that it just tears up tires, and so these guys are going to have to worry about that tire wear as this race goes on. Listening to folks in practice, they were commenting about how loose these trucks were getting on long runs. As pace car dives off onto pit road, here we are. Green flag is in the air. Fantastic start from the bottom lane. Caught the number 4 sleeping. 78 already cleared from third into second going into turn 1. Ray Zerkut, he's guarding that inside line from the 78 of Gary Sapinski. It's exactly what he needs to do. But someone like Paul Witt, who started in fourth, got bobbled up by the 4 not getting going, and that's really going to adjust how this pack races 2 by 2 by 2 from about 4th place on back. All looking for speed. A lot of speed can be found up there at the top for quite a long ways, but it is definitely, if I had to say one thing that's really going to eat up tires, is running that high line for an extended period of time. As we see the 777 of Michael Pegg here making a lot of progress here on the bottom. He started a lot further back than we're used to him seeing, already up to the 6th position, pushing really hard on the number 9 at John Held, trying to find a way around. You can see what that start did to the 4 of Larry Eddy. Larry already back from second all the way back into 4th position already. Just got swallowed up by the field. Jeff Gilmore, Gary Sapinski, I do believe, where did he go? 429 of Paul Witt. You want to talk about someone who really got swallowed up. He started 4th. He's running 8th. So more than likely on that stack up, lost a few positions and then trying to make up for it, probably got loose. That's, like I said, that's something these guys will be wrestling all night, is the loose condition of these trucks. Let's get back here to the front. 23 led all 4 laps so far, keeping about a 1/10 of a second between himself and the 78 of Gary Sapinski. Just trying to take the air off the front of any truck trying to follow him there on the bottom, but He and Gary running very similar lap times through these corners. Gary was actually faster the last time by about 4/100ths of a second. So there's not a huge difference between these two. Obviously, the 23 giving that draft pull to the 78. But as this race goes on, it's going to be who can manage those tires the best. Gary Sapinski very good at rolling these corners, even in the dirty air. The guy behind, the guy in front of him. And so even though he's behind now, I would not expect Gary Sapinski to be there for too long. He's got the 57 of Jeff Gilmore right behind him. Jeff made up several spots there on that start, went from 5th to 3rd. And again, all thanks to that stack up there on the top. He's making some pretty good time. He's running very similar laps. Actually, 3/100ths of a second faster than the leader that time around. So he's taken good advantage of that draft in front of him as the 78 goes for a move on the 23 down the backstretch. Got to his inside there coming out of turn 2. Ray's probably going to let him go here, and he does. 78 clears the 23 fairly easily. I can only imagine that Ray backed out a little bit of the throttle, not wanting to race side by side with 78 too long. That will, I mean, we mentioned it earlier. Tire wear is something all these guys are going to be worried about, and the longer you're racing side by side with someone, the worse your tires are going to look, and that's something Michael Pegg here, he's only been out there a couple times, but it's something he's really going to have to deal with, because he's looking here to the outside of Larry Eddy, and you can get a lot of speed up there, but you do not want to be stuck up there for a long extended period of time. My preferred lane at most tracks is right there around the outside, and Chicagoland is one of those tracks taught me the hard lesson that being even in the middle lane here might not be the best way to go about it. But, you know, we've been keeping an eye on Michael all through this season in trucks both and Gen 6s, and this guy just, depending on the truck, he seems to be able to run just about anywhere, especially places he's not comfortable. He surprised us a few times running up against the wall. Never see him up off the bottom of the track, but this season he's been making a lot of use of just about every lane on the track, and just about every track we go to. Oh, huge loose condition from the 57. Up in the wall, right in front of a whole bunch of people. Keeps it going straight. Nobody got into him going down the straight. Skip back and take a look at this. Was there contact between him and the 777? I don't know. It looked like he was out of shape there. Oh, no, sorry. Contact between him and the 4. Looks like he got out of shape there. Oh, that's what'll do it. So he tapped the apron, and that will absolutely send your car sideways. Does a very good job keeping it up there against the wall out of oncoming traffic. We'll take a look one more time here from our friend the Chopper. And you'll see he'll tag that white line there to his left on the inside. And that just shoots the back end of that truck around. He fights to save it. Maybe a little bit of contact between the 429 and the 9. Just trying to avoid him, but excellent heads-up driving there by Jeff Gilmore. I mean, that drops him back to the 17th position, and I'd be willing to bet he's got a fairly damaged truck. But we are still green as we head back to our leaders. Gary Sapinski and Ray Zerkut out here making good time. These guys already built up a 1-second lead between themselves and Larry Eddy. Now, a significant portion of that's going to be the 57 getting loose there. Really separated this field out. The 4 close enough that he'll be able to get a draft tow from the 23. And he's sort of that bridge there between these guys and the 429 and the 777, both running 4th and 5th. Michael Pegg falling to the 429. Talking with Paul Witt here before the race, I asked him who he was going to make sweat tonight, and he said probably Michael. He likes racing Michael really, really hard. Michael's one of those few guys you can race really hard. And for an extended period of time, is probably, trying to figure out what the best thing to say there was. It's probably the person you can race very hard for an extended period of time. Be side by side, lap after lap after lap, and still you two make decent time. But right now, these guys more concerned about making up the time between themselves and the 4 here, who has cut the lead that Gary and Ray had over him from a second to 0.6. making a lot of speed there. Look like he's running up a little bit more towards the top. And the more he's able to get closer to these guys, he should bring the 429 and the 777 with him. You see a little bit of change in the line being run by our leader. You see the 78 and the 23. 78, that lap ran high side, both ends of the track. 23 ran low. See, that's exactly what's happening here. 78 running high, 23 running low. It looks like 78 is able to make a lot of time there. It's very odd to see them running up that high, but you do what you can to build the gap that you need to build. So we got another slow car on the track, 58 of Chris Hogue. So he brings it to a stop. Was there an incident there on the track? We'll go back and we'll take a look real quick. And back into that truck, just stepped around. Oh, drilled the outside wall. Saw a puff of smoke there, probably took his engine with it. Unfortunately for him, no caution. So he has taken the tow to pit lane. We do have 2 fast repairs, so he should be able to get back out and get in this race, but will likely be about 3 or 4 laps down. So that is unfortunate for Chris Hogue. While we were taking a look at that, for Larry cinched right up to the back bumper of the 23. Remember, he was 0.6 of a second back. Now he is breathing all over Ray's rear bumper, looking for that spot that he can to make his way around. And see these guys behind them. They were over a second back. Now they're 9/10, little less than a second off before Larry Eddy. So the longer this goes, these guys are going to be getting better and better and better. Sorry, closer and closer and closer to these guys ahead of them. And the amazing thing, you see the 429 and the 777, these guys are working together. They were running the high side. Paul Witt getting a very good push from the 777 of Michael Pegg down the backstretch. These two working together is dangerous for everyone ahead of them. These are 2 of the fastest trucks on the track. They get hooked up nose to tail. They're going to make a lot of time on the guys ahead of them. And here's something we weren't expecting to see. Seems like just about everybody. We take a look at our leader. He's running more towards the middle. 23, who has succumbed to the 4. He's running the bottom. The 4 running the top. The 429. The 777. We take a look back, even back to the 9 of John Held here. See where he's running. A lot of these guys opting to run that higher lane. And this is not what we were expecting to see, given what we were looking at the trucks doing in practice. You know, a lot of folks not too confident running up there against the wall because of how loose these trucks were getting. Lots of folks run up there near the wall. It may end up that might be the only way to make speed around this track. We'll see as this goes. We're 21 laps in. We mentioned these trucks only have about 45 laps of fuel, so everyone currently is in the window for their first stop of the evening, unless you're planning on making it on one stop, in which case obviously you have to take it to lap 50 and then continue to save fuel for that second stint. But I expect our top 5, Gary Sapinski, Larry Eddy, Ray Zerkut, Paul Witt, and Michael Pegg here, to all pit more than likely within the next 10 to 15 laps. Try and split this. Oh, we got someone sideways. Who was that? I think, was it the 91? 91 of Joel Guy, and this takes everything we were talking about fuel-wise, and it throws it right out the window. Go back and see what happened to Joel, wondering if this truck just stepped out on him. Now, it looks like he's sideways. We'll step back one more time. And so this is him coming out of turn 4, coming to lap 21. He sends it down in there. Everything looks okay, and it just stepped out on him. 58 avoids him. and unfortunately unable to keep it off the track. Tried to get it down out of the way, got it out of the way, but that him being sideways for as long as he was, that's what brought our caution out. Right, all that happening right in front of the leaders. It's a good job on Joel Guy keeping it off the track and out of the way. Unfortunately, like we mentioned, that puts us under caution. And now you can bet everybody is coming to pit road. 21 laps on these tires. The only reason you would stay out is to get your lap back if you've already been on, or that you've already been on pit road. Like the 58, you see the 58 of Chris Hogue here. He is staying out currently. More than likely trying to get one of his laps back. Looks like he was the recipient of our lucky dog this evening. Congratulations to Chris Hogue. I mean, he was unfortunately 3 laps down. This will put him 2 laps down. Last on pit road 6 laps ago. So he may not need to pit again. Unfortunately, he will not get around before everyone gets off pit road, which is kind of sad because if you can beat him around, you can get that wave around, but it is not easy. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll go back to the front, take a look at everyone as they came off pit road. All right, as we're taking a look here, looks like our top 5 be the 4 of Larry Eddy. That is fantastic. Good job, Larry, beating, he came down second, came off first. It was a good job to the 4, assuming the lead. The 23, Ray Zerkut, he will be your second place driver. 429 of Paul Witt came off in 3rd. In 4th, the 24 of Jason Adams, only a 9-second stop, so I'm going to guess that he only took fuel there and no tires. That is a bold strategy. So those tires are going to be about 21 laps old. He's going to have to be careful working his way down through traffic. And then Michael Pegg in the 777, he came off pit road in 5th. Now, most interestingly, your race leader, Gary Sapinski, he's back here in 10th. And we look at his, he only had a 13.7 second stop, so I'm not entirely certain what happened on pit road. This is the big benefactor of all that, 4 of Larry Eddy. So we get our 1 to green. I was looking for him to see if I could bring him up here into the booth, but I do not see the 4 anywhere in our race communications, so that is unfortunate. Well, all right. Well, Larry, we wish you the best, and we're hope maybe we get to talk to you by the end of this race. Pace car darts off the track down pit road. We head back into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is out. Much better start from the top side. Larry Eddy and the 23 of Ray Zerkut side by side. Larry getting a fantastic push from the 429 of Paul Witt. Paul just shoving him clear of the 23. Paul side by side with the 23. As they head on to the backstretch. Larry choosing to defend that bottom lane instead of sliding up. Paul continues to push Larry forward, pushes him clear. He's able to clear, not quite, almost clear the 23. Darts to the bottom, see if he can take the bottom on the 4. 4 darts low to block that. Paul goes high. Looking to make up some time there along the top. See if he can get a push there from the 23. The 4 is going to slide up and chop that momentum off. Paul darts down, going towards the inside. He'll have the 777 behind him for a push. The 4 will have the 23. Paul Witt clears the 4. Before they make it to the exit of turn 3, Paul Witt going to lead lap 28. He's got the 777 to his inside, challenging for the lead already. They'll be side by side going into turn 1. It is a 4-car battle for the lead. These guys are hauling the mail. You know, we were looking at him. We were saying, man, he's starting pretty far back. Look who's inserted himself into the conversation. Here we are, only just recently back green. Gary Sapinski from 10th to 5th. It's now a 5-car battle for the lead, shaping up to maybe be 6 cars if John Held can get a little bit closer. These guys are racing side by side like it's the last lap. Michael Pegg was able to clear Paul Witt for the lead. So he'll lead lap 30. They are still racing side by side, trying to get that run on the 777 in front of them. Looks like Paul Witt got a little out of shape there on the top side, had to get out of it. He had some fantastic momentum. It just almost all disappeared. Michael Pegg does not know which lane to lead. Does he lead the bottom and stop the 23 from getting there? Does he lead the top and stop Paul Witt from going around the outside? He's just kind of running the middle, doing what he can. This man is racing out of both mirrors in his truck, the rear view and the left side. His 23 gets a good run down there on the front stretch, gets to the inside, gets the pass almost, got a little out of sorts, kept it going straight. They're still side by side for the lead going into turn 3. Paul Witt and Gary Sapinski working that high lane, trying to run a little bit higher than Michael Pegg. Pegg doing everything he can to take the air off the front of those trucks while keeping the speed in his own. Does not want to let the 23 clear him. They're all in trouble if the 23 gets out ahead and is able to stay there. Paul Witt running that high lane. Michael Pegg seeing that there's a lot of speed up there, seeing what he can do. Not quite able to keep to the outside of the 23 there. Little bit of contact in the rear between both of those trucks. Michael Pegg finally gets back to the inside where he's more comfortable. What's amazing, these guys are all running side by side. We just put fresh tires on. How much longer can these guys afford to be able to do this before these tires start wearing out? I mean, we saw about 20 laps into the run. That's, 18, 20 laps into the run. That's where people started getting real loose. Started spinning out just on their own. 4 of Larry challenging back again on the bottom, not quite able to get to that left rear quarter panel of the 777. He's able to get in there with some decent speed, bounced off the bottom a little bit, almost contact between him and the 23. He's just looking for any speed that he can get. But that little bit's allowed the 777 some breathing room. He's got a 10th between himself and Larry, but Larry's got the 23, the 78, the 429 all breathing down his neck, almost running 3 wide there, and the 9 of John Held. He's just sitting back here going, I'll just go ahead and let you guys do what you're going to do, burn your stuff up. I mean, we talk with John Held enough. We know that he's a long-run guy. He's going to play that tire game all throughout the race. A bunch of times we've talked to him where he's finished, second or third. He's like, I left that move just a little too late. So here he is. Instead of dropping way back, he's keeping it right here in the 6th position. Close enough that he can challenge if someone has a problem, but far enough back that he's able to let these guys just race it out amongst themselves without having to get too deep into it. Just running where he can find the speed to keep up and not wear these tires out too much as we get ahead and go back to our leaders here. Michael Pegg still got a rear view mirror, all 4 of the number 4 of Larry. Remember, he was our outside pole winner. So we know that truck is fast, knows his way around Chicagoland Speedway. Let's take a look back here. Battle for 3rd place. The 78 racing very, very hard with the 23. Ray Zerkut, who's getting a nice arrow push from Paul Witt. Not enough to keep him ahead of the 78. It is a three-car battle here for third. Paul Witt seeming very comfortable out there along the outside. He loses a lot of time there going around the outside on corner entry. Makes up all of it going down the straightaways. You know, we talk about it every single race, but the momentum you get at a 1.5 mile track from running the top lane is absolutely monstrous. It looks like 429 of Paul Witt's here. It's going to have to settle in a little bit to the 5th position, back off from challenging for 4th, maybe this time. But these draft runs that he's getting, not only from the momentum there on the top, not certain what happened to the 4 there. Poor Larry Eddy looked like maybe he got a little bit out of shape there. And that's going to allow the 78 by there 3 wide there. Almost able to, nope, right hooked, right into the wall. Collected the 429 of Paul Witt. Damage there. And I think that's going to be it for the 23. We'll go ahead and we'll take a look at this. I want to say this started all the way back in turn 1 with the 4 of Larry Eddy. See, he was able to get into turn 1 to the inside of Michael Pegg and just overcooked it a little bit. I mean, we thought he got a little bit out of shape, and that allowed all these guys to get right up here, right on him very quickly. As they go into turn 3, I mean, we're talking about the momentum that the 429 was getting on the top. He gets him just barely 3 wide. And just trying to make everyone trying to make room for everybody. Oh, and the 50 of Todd Willis plowed into that. So we'll go back here to the 23. We'll go ahead and we'll take a look from a little bit different camera angle. So we know as these tires age, these guys are getting loose and tight, and on corner entry, things can really narrow up in a hurry. So go here through turns 3 and 4. See the 4 starts, gets a little bit of a side draft from the 23 that slides him up, and just nowhere to go. 23 keeping it off the wall to make room for the 429. Bow! Right by the 50. So go ahead and we'll take one more look, this time from our friend the Chopper Cam. You see that 429, he's right there. 23 doesn't go all the way up the track because he knows Paul's coming. And that's all she wrote. So now we have a mixture of fuel strategy as we go back live with all of our drivers. Number 9 of John Held opted to stay out, as did the 43 of Sandy Curtis, the 129 of Kim Kraus. All 3 of these guys chose to stay out. I do believe the 57 of Jeff Gilmore did, and the Irwin Tools truck as well. So all these guys out on 18-lap-old tires. Let's see who else decided to stay out. Looks like the 19 of Ben Gear, the 33 of Gary Ragland, the 89 of Randolph Richard, 59 of Ralph Blair, and the 52 of Gary Whitmer Sr. Remember, we mentioned these guys have 45 laps of fuel. They pit back on lap 21 or 22. So each of these guys has plenty of fuel to make it to that midway point left in the run. They're probably going to be pitting more than likely around lap 60 and then running it to the end. When we take a look back, 78 of Gary Sapinski, 777 of Michael Pegg, 111 of John Henderson, 126 of Robert Hooligan, the 24 of Jason Adams, the 91 of Joel Guy, who is our Lucky Dog recipient this time, and the 429 of Paul Witt, who of course had to pit. He was involved in that caution. All of these guys came down pit road. They're all on fresh tires. So you've got half the field on fresh tires, half the field on old tires. Anything can happen. So long as no one gets too antsy. should be able to make this work. But we've seen this happen before, not only in Gen 6 but in the trucks as well. We see this happen with the professionals on Sunday. Someone stays out on old tires and someone back in the field makes a move that maybe they shouldn't. So we're going to go ahead and knock on wood. These guys take their time and make their way through the field. I think it's going to... We were talking about this. We were going to see different fuel strategies. We're going to see different pit strategies, and we're seeing them play out right here. We've talked about doing this with him before. I think if we get a decent green flag run going, we may pull the 78 of Gary Sapinski up here into the booth to talk to him. He is currently our points leader. Before I forget, we will get into a conversation about the points here in the next 5 to 10 laps, I'm hoping. But it should be a short discussion. And we are back, green flag racing. Excellent start from the top and the bottom. 9 of John Held got a good start. 43 got a good start as well, side by side. 9 of John Held is able to clear Sandy Curtis there on the bottom lane, but he's got a rearview mirror full of the 129 of Kim Kraus. Kim looking to the inside. Already there to the left rear quarter panel of the 9. Sends it here into turn 3. Is able to clear the 9s. John Held did get his point for leading a lap there as he led them under caution, but the 129 of Kim Kraus here takes the lead, lap 44. So that'll go ahead and that'll allow him to get that extra bonus points. He brings the 43 of Sandy Curtis with him. John Held falling back into the 3rd position. Back to the clutches of the 57 here of Jeff Gilmore and the 19 of Ben Gear. Well, you can see these guys on fresh tires, they're already starting to make moves. The leader of these guys is the 429 of Paul Witt. They're running 3 wide back there, looking for all the space they can find. Paul Witt up at the top, the 78 and 777 running down there at the bottom. I think the 78 and the 777 have that preferred lane to be able to make up this time. Paul Witt top 3 wide. They're able to get it almost real close there on the exit of turn 2. Someone getting real loose, taking the 429 all the way to the wall. 777 and the 78 darting down to try and avoid it. Looks like everyone's able to keep it going straight here. That's the kind of thing we were talking about. Let this truck come to you. Don't let things get too crazy this early on this set of tires. And you got to make up the time. You got to get out there and make up as many positions as you can, especially now that you're on a different pit strategy. Very dangerous going 3 wide there, almost contact between several of those trucks, able to keep it going straight. So fantastic heads-up driving from all of those guys. We take a look back forward. The 129 of Kim Kraus, he's been passed by the 43 of Sandy Curtis. Sandy Curtis here going to get that lap lead here, lap 47. With Sandy out in command of this race. So while everyone behind him on those fresh tires doing everything they can to get up through this field, you can see them there. They're getting closer and closer. These guys here in the top 5, what they're trying to do is get us probably another 13 laps before they get overtaken. I don't know if they'll be able to get that far that fast, but get as far as they can on these old tires, come down pit road, take advantage of the fresh ones. Let's see if that plays out. We won't know what the right call was until 5-10 laps to go. 43 gets a little squirrely there going through turn 2. That's going to back him up a little bit. The 777 of Michael Pegg already made it up here into the 5th position. He is picking them off one by one as he dives the inside of John Held, is able to get there. 129 gets loose. Gets John Held and Kim Kraus in the same corners. He sets to work on the 57 of Jeff Gilmore. He'll get this position probably by the exit of turn 2. They send it off in there. Yes, he is clear of the 57 there. Sets to work here on the 43 of Sandy Curtis. Sandy not going to be able to hold off these fresh tires, not for long. As Michael Pegg sends it down there around the bottom, cleared Sandy Curtis already. Sandy doing what he can to just tuck in line and get a good draft pull from the 777. But he is under fire here from the 129 of Kim Kraus. Looked like he's able to just get his nose there, stop the 43 from dropping to the bottom. But as we were seeing, oh, Kim Kraus getting loose. Keeps it going straight. Good save from the 129. And that's something we were seeing. The longer these stints seem to go, the older these tires got, the worse the bottoms seem to be. Looks like people just got way too loose to run down there. We don't usually see that here. So we go back out to camera 3 to get that nice wide shot. 78 of Gary Sapinski here up in 7th, taking his time to get through traffic. 777 bombed it through traffic. Just absolutely pushed his way through the field to go ahead and take the lead. He's already sitting 0.6 of a second out there. That's not something that 78 of Gary Sapinski can really let stand for too much longer as he works his way through this slower traffic. Just trying to find what hole he can. He doesn't want to push this truck too hard. He wants to make sure he's got tires here for the end of the race. I do believe the 777 and the 78 only having one set of fresh tires left in the bank. Whereas you got someone like Kim Kraus and John Held. Remember, these guys did not come to pit road under that last caution, so they should still have 2 sets of tires. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. If we have a caution late, I mean, everyone still has to stop at least once. So if we get a caution late, that could hand the advantage to someone like John Held, Kim Kraus, Jeff Gilmore, Sandy Curtis. All these guys might have the winning hand here. Like I said, we won't know until the end. We mentioned we were going to have a quick conversation about the points situation, so to go ahead and bring that up to sort of let you know, unfortunately, I have not updated my graphic here, so we'll just go ahead and I'll pull this up from our website. You can look us up, simracerhub.com. We are a Lucky Dog Sim Racing League. Currently, the points position, the top 5 are Gary Slapinski, Michael Pegg in 2nd, Ralph Blair in 3rd, Sandy Curtis in 4th, Randolph Richard in 5th. The battle here for the championship really is between the top 2, Gary Sapinski and Michael Pegg. There's a 37-point spread between the 2 of them. It's going to be difficult, especially with how good Gary Sapinski has been running, but Michael Pegg in 2nd has a tall task ahead of him here to go ahead and take home this championship. As things sit right now with Gary Sapinski sitting in the 5th position, if they were to finish in this order next time by, Gary Sapinski would be your championship winner. So like we said, the point situation tonight, very abbreviated conversation, not too much to talk about, as the race is between your race leader here and your 5th place driver of Gary Sapinski, who just needs a decent finish to go ahead and take away that championship. Lucky Dog uses a point system very similar to the classic Winston Cup style points. So here it is possible for a driver to have won the championship by race 8 of 12. As Matt Kenseth did, I do believe 2/3 of the way through the season in 2003. Had already walked away with the championship. And every now and then you just have a season where everything clicks for somebody. And that appears to have been the way things were so far for the 78 of Gary Sapinski. Obviously, knock on wood again. He has a good rest of his race. As we go ahead and we cut back to our leader, Michael Pegg, he's already cut almost a 2-second gap between himself and 2nd place. We'll go ahead and we'll take a look at his gearbox here. That is the gap between himself and Sandy Curtis. So he's making the most of these fresh tires while he can. He's making more effect of is Gary Sapinski being caught up by those slower trucks. Not quite able to make the time that he was looking. He had quite a quite a task getting around Kim Kraus there. Kim Kraus just running that high lane where he was feeling comfortable. Gary Sapinski was kind of forced to run low. And we've already talked about how these trucks, the longer they run low, the worse they get to drive. That seems to be where Gary Sapinski is most comfortable. That's where he's been keeping it. And so I mentioned if we got a good green flag run, which I believe we've got, we were going to try and pull him up, go ahead and talk to him. Maybe we'll distract him. Gary Sapinski, this is William in the booth. You got me?
Yeah.
It's been a blast watching you pick your way through this field. You and a whole bunch of guys came down pit road, half the field on fresh tires, half the field on old tires. What's been getting through the field like for you?
Terrible. I put fuel in it with old tires, and this thing is loose. I mean, loose.
Yeah, we were noticing just the longer things went, the looser these trucks seemed to get, especially down there on the bottom. I guess
yeah, Michael got fresh tires, and there's no way I'm catching him.
So with how much pace the 777 is showing out there in front, when are you thinking would be the best time for you to come to pit road? I mean, you got 45 laps of fuel.
Yeah, maybe 70, 75.
That could be the play. I mean, you know, with the, I mean, you and he are on the exact same fuel strategy.
Yeah. I'll have to go before him, though, I'm thinking, to make up that time. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to beat him with old tires, though.
Well, with how this is shaping out currently, we were looking at the points before. You currently sitting 37 points ahead of Michael. You just need a decent, top 5 finish to be able to cinch that championship. How easy do you think keeping a top 5 is going to be?
Oh, that's I could definitely get a top 5. But you know me, I don't be up front.
Yeah, I mean, we talk to you just about every race. I'd hate to break that streak, in victory lane tonight.
I'm going to try. I always try. There could be a caution here. I mean, a lot of guys talking on the radio, a lot of chatter. So maybe there'll be a caution.
Well, I don't know about you, but up here in the booth, we're hoping we go green the rest of the way. We like good, long green flag runs up here, but you never know. I mean, we did have a few guys, the truck just stepped out on them, and it took 3 of them before we got a caution, so
yeah, I just
you never
stepped
know.
out too. I just stepped out too a little bit. I felt it.
Well, like I mentioned on the broadcast, maybe we distract you a little bit. I think we distracted you long enough. We'll go ahead and put you back with your team. Thank you for talking with us.
You are. No problem.
And that is your points leader, Gary Sapinski. And we talked with him several races ago in Gen 6, and he mentioned bringing him up into the booth periodically to talk with him. We figure we'll go ahead and we'll talk with our points leader. But right here, 777 of Michael Pegg, he is out front, and he is doing his best to scoot away 3.6 seconds on second place. You just see they're just now coming out of turn 2. That is the benefit he's got with these fresh tires. We'll go ahead and we'll ride along with him for a lap. I'm going to go ahead and we take a look back a little bit further into our field. We were talking about folks who did not come to pit road. I guess maybe I need to take a little bit more of a look at my timing and scoring. Paul Witt only spent 6 seconds on pit road, so that's only enough to get that truck fixed and to go ahead and put some fuel in it. So Paul Witt here also on old tires, sitting 9 seconds back almost from your leader. So he's got to be wondering, when is he coming to pit road? I mean, we know the 78 has to come to pit road before the 777 if he's going to catch him, as we see the 129, Kim Kraus, be the first person on pit road to make that final stop. So we'll see how much time he can make. Our leader, Michael Pegg, will put him a lap down, but he'll have 30 lap older tires in the 129. So we can expect that Kim's going to be able to get back out there and make up quite a bit of time. 43 to Sandy Curtis. He comes down pit road as well. So green flag stops have begun. And just like the 129, he's going to go a lap down. Now looking at the 129, he's just now coming off pit road. He's about a lap and a half currently behind your leader, but you'll see what those tires are going to do. He's going to be making up a lot of time. So the fastest lap, like on fresh tires, these guys are running about a 30.3. Running on old tires, about a 31.5. Michael Pegg already committing to pit road, as is the 57 and the 126. So all these guys coming down pit road, that'll really help some of these guys get their lap back. We talked with Gary Sapinski. He could not afford for Michael Pegg to pit before him. He stays out. How much longer is he going to stay out before he comes down pit road? He knows he needs those tires. Looks like maybe he's committing, getting out of the throttle, coming down pit road now. Here we go. 777 of Michael Pegg will be coming off pit road right here. Did Gary Sapinski maintain enough speed to come out side by side with the 777? We'll see. I believe what we're looking at here is your race for the lead. When we take a quick look, 129 of Kim Kraus. He's coming out of turn 2 right now. So he's still well back from Michael Pegg, the 777. Did not make up the time that maybe he thought. We'll look here at the 78, see what's happening with him. He is down and away. But there's the 777 at full song already. He's going around trying to catch the number 9 of John Held. John Held looked like he pit just the lap before. I'm sorry, I can't read. 8 laps before. So we're definitely going to see the fresh tires, the 777 there really come into play here. These two racing very, very hard. Hopefully, we see John in the conversation by the end of it, but it may be that he looks back at that stop. It's like, oh man, I pit too early. But you know, when you're losing time to the leaders, you pit when you have to. Remember, he was one of the guys that stayed out on that last caution. So all this is giving the lead to the 429 here of Paul Witt. His last on pit road 35 laps ago. He's running on some very old tires. He still does have to stop. He should have about 10, I believe 10 laps of fuel left in this truck. With those fresh tires ahead of him, not going to be easy to hold them off. Talk about someone who is hoping for a caution. That is Paul Witt right there. He wants a caution. He needs a caution if he's going to stay out there in front. Well, we see the 19 of Ben Gear getting the wall a little bit. Keeps it pointed straight. Slowed him down, but not enough for the 429 to be able to get past him, get some of that fresh air. Both these guys running high to let the folks with fresh tires slide by on the bottom. And that's going to go ahead and put 9 cars now on the lead lap as these lap down cars on fresh tires make their way past the leader here. 129 of Kim Kraus going to get his lap back. He'll be in 10th place. That'll put him back on the lead lap. He'll be solidly on the lead lap once the 429 of Paul Witt comes to pit road for that last bit of service. He's got to be thinking about pitting soon. Either he's thinking about pitting soon or he's thinking about a caution. Not certain which. With only 23 laps left to go in this race, he cannot afford to let these faster trucks be out here too much longer than him. Go ahead and we'll take an opportunity here. Do one of our go through the fields. Not something we've had, not something we've done in a while. We'll go ahead and we'll start with 429 of Paul Witt here. Paul Witt, he started fourth, currently running first. He is the truck out here on the oldest tires, 40 laps on these tires, so he's going to be thinking about pitting here within the next 4 or 5 laps. He was only on pit road last time for about 6 seconds. So like we mentioned, he's running on old tires. These things are absolutely baked. On his lap times, we look at his lap time compared to Michael Pegg. He is a full second a lap slower than your 4th place driver. So that's something that he has to weigh. The longer he stays out, the further and further away Michael Pegg will end up getting. So we'll go back again to the 2nd place driver, 24 of Jason Adams. He's running second, qualified 6th. He came down pit road same time. And it looks like he also opted for Go tires. So his tire is just as old right now as Paul Witt, 41 laps, as is the 111 of John Henderson. We take a look back just now, coming out of turn 2 there, it appears. Racing side by side with the 91. 91 currently doing what he can to go get one of his laps back. John Henderson came down pit road 40 laps ago, only took fuel. So he will also be thinking about pitting here before too long. But now we were talking about it, the longer everyone stayed out, the further away he was going to get. 777 of Michael Pegg, once these green flag laps finish green flag pit stops finish cycling through, he should be your leader here on lap 81. He's 13 seconds back and getting close, 18 seconds back and getting closer lap after lap after lap. You know, he's lapped on pit road 11 laps ago. Not certain that the 429, the 24, or the 111 are going to have the tires to be able to really challenge him as we get towards the end of this race. In 5th is the 9 of John Held, who's not able to hold Michael Pegg off. As I do that, he has had his doors blown off by the 78 just as I clicked on him. So Gary Sapinski is your 5th place driver. He is doing everything he can to catch Michael Pegg. He is currently sitting about 4 seconds back from Michael. He's getting closer each lap. He's about 1/10 of a second faster, but 1/10 of a second with only 18 laps to go is not a whole lot of time. He's going to need Michael to get caught up in some slower traffic or get loose or something like that, but he is doing everything he can to try and catch Michael Pegg. That last time by, he was a full 1/10 of a second faster. Usually we're talking about 1/10 of a second. We're rounding up. Not quite so in this case. Our 6th place driver will be the number 9 of John Held. He qualified 7th, currently running 6th, doing everything he can to try and have a truck at the end of this race, but he has the 43 of Sandy Curtis all over him trying to take this 6th position. Both of these guys racing very, very hard here, trying to see if they can crack the top 5. More than likely they will be once the top 3 come down pit road. It looks like 429 has opted to duck it onto pit road. He's just now coming off after finishing his service. He'll be very close to going a lap down to the 777 once he gets back up to speed. But anyway, the 43 was able, while we were talking about that, to not only clear the 9, but he also brought the 57, Jeff Gilmore, with him. Jeff here on slightly fresher tires than both of these guys. He's got 15 laps to Sandy Curtis's 16. As these guys are these two are currently fighting it out for the 5th position. 9 of John Held drop back here to the 7th place, and he is currently getting closer and closer and closer to the 129 of Kim Kraus, currently running into 8th. Kim here, remember, he qualified back in 15th, currently running in 8th with a top 5 well within sniffing distance. So he's doing everything he can to get back up there with only 15 laps left to go in this race. 24 has opted to come down pit road, brought the 111 with him, so that should give the lead back to the 777 here of Michael Pegg. he rocketed past, and he is sitting 3.2 seconds, now 3.1 ahead of the 78 of Gary Sapinski. Like I said, Gary Sapinski's faster, and he's getting closer. I mean, there is, between these two guys, 1 lap. 1 lap difference on these two guys' tires. Let's blow this up to TV3. That is the difference between these two guys. I mean, Gary Sapinski is not close enough to get any kind of draft pull from the 777, but he's making the most of this truck. And it is not a small gap, but Michael Pegg here is looking at catching up to some other, say, slower traffic. He's got 33, Gary Ragland in front of him. Gary here bit down on speed this evening. He was last on pit road about 15 laps ago, so a little bit fresher tires than Michael. Unfortunately, he's also been running a fair bit slower, 0.3 of a second faster. Slower that time by. So before too long, 777 of Michael Pegg is going to be knocking on his rear bumper, wanting to get by. 24 of Jason Adams here. He's doing everything he can to scoot away. He is currently the last, he is the last car on the lead lap in 14th. Trying to make up as much time as he can, as he's sitting about 4 seconds back from the 59 of Ralph Blair. Ralph here last on pit road 28 laps ago. So him getting overtaken by Jason for that 13th spot is well within the frame of possibility. 429 of Paul Witt, how late he left his pit. He's currently sitting in the 11th place trying to track down that 126 of Robert Hooligan. The difference in their lap times, almost a full second. So he may be able to track Robert down, perhaps even the 19 of Ben Gear. Top 10 very, very much in the possibility for the 429 here. Talk about someone who really wants it to stay green. 777 of Michael Pegg, he's had that lead chewed away, only 2.4 seconds ahead of the 78 of Gary Sapinski. Gary Sapinski closing in slowly but surely. We'll see if he has enough time. We don't know. These last few laps, Gary seems to be making up a lot more time on Michael than he had in the laps prior. And we mentioned only a single lap difference between these two guys' sets of tires. Unfortunately, I believe the conversation is just going to come down to these two. 57 to Jeff Gilmore sitting 7.5 seconds back, so he is unlikely to catch both of these guys. But this is exactly what the 777 of Michael Pegg was hoping to not happen, as he gave up 0.3 of a second there, just that lap alone. As we come across the stripe this time, should be 7 laps to go, if I indeed know how to count, and I have had people tell me that is rather dubious. Only 2 seconds now separate him and the 78 of Gary Sapinski. Gary's saying he doesn't want to be in the top 5. He wants to be on the podium. Not only does he want to be on the podium, he wants to be the winner. He closes in another 0.3 of a second there on Michael Pegg. Loses a little bit there going down the backstretch. Gary Sapinski driving that thing for all it's worth. He is almost close enough to sniff a draft there from Michael Pegg. So we'll go ahead and we'll ride along with Gary this lap. Very smart heads-up move from the 78 of Gary Sapinski, moving up to let the fresh tires on the 111 of John Henderson go. That's going to do him a huge favor because, yes, he's going to have to deal with some dirty air going through the corners, but that's going to give him a nice draft pull, pulling him even closer to the 777 of Michael Pegg. The gap now only down to 1.4. So him doing everything he can to get that little bit extra. Close in another 1/10 of a second going through 3 and 4. Michael Pegg, best thing he can do is just keep running his race. Gary Sapinski is 1.2 seconds back. If Gary gets to him, he's going to have one chance to pass him and one chance only. But unfortunately for Michael, he's going to have to contend with the 111 through one of these corners, either on corner entry or on corner exit. And that's going to slow him down. Gary Sapinski 1.1 back. That 78 is getting closer. 111 darts it down to the inside there along the bottom. Gary Sapinski can get the pull from either one, but this is going to force Michael Pegg to run a line that maybe he doesn't want to run here. He lifts a little bit, runs it down there through the middle. You can see that truck running tight. Gave up 0.2 of a second there to the 78 in that corner. Only 0.8 separate these two guys. But now Michael's got to deal with the dirty air, something he's not had to deal with this run. How much is that going to slow him down? Gary Sapinski was able to use it. Can Michael Pegg use that draft pull to keep himself from getting past? It'll be 2 laps to go. This time by 78, still doing everything he can, down to 0.7 of a second. Remember, we were talking about 18 laps ago, we were saying that gap, that 4-second gap, might be too much for Gary to make up. 0.6 of a second. Gary absolutely sending it as hard as it'll go. White flag this time by. Next flag will end the race. There's 0.5 second between these two guys. 0.4 of a second. Gary Sapinski is going to have one more shot at this through turns 3 and 4. 0.3 gets an excellent run out of turn 2. Might not be able to get there. It's going to be close. Michael Pegg keeps it going, keeps it off the wall, darts it to the inside. 0.1 of a second. Michael Pegg is your winner. Gary Sapinski coming home second in a hard-fought battle. 57 of Jeff Gilmore brings it home in third. The 43 of Sandy Curtis comes home in fourth. And the 129 of Kim Kraus will round out your top 5. Excellent drive from all of these guys. But there is your winner, Michael Pegg, running in his rearview mirror that entire last run. Just seeing that 78 get closer. Congratulations to Michael, keeping it out ahead. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to see if we can collect our top 3 for interviews. Congratulations to all of our drivers. Hopefully all 9 of you there in the YouTube land enjoyed the race. If you like what you saw, go ahead and give us a like, comment, and if you want to race with us, look us up, Lucky Dog Sim Racing on iRacing. We'd love to have you. Alrighty, and we have our top 3 finishers for the evening. We're going to go ahead and start with the 57 of Jeff Gilmore. Jeff, this is William in the booth. You got me?
I got you. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, Jeff. Fantastic run. You know, we had a lot of different pit strategies tonight, and yours looked like it was a pretty good one. Brought you home in third. Go ahead and talk us through your race. I mean, you were pretty quiet for most of the race, but it really seemed to come together there for you after that last stop.
Yeah, just played the safe bet on the pit strategy there, and seemed to come together. I finally put one together here. It's been a long time since I've been on podium with this group, so it feels good to get one, finally put one together and not mess up.
And it was definitely a hard fought race. Forward and backward from what we were noticing. You mentioned that you were taking it safe here. As the race went on, we were noticing a lot of these trucks were getting loose as you were going. How was your sensation in the truck? What was it like?
Oh yeah, truck ran really nice actually, I thought, but it certainly did get free as the run went on. It very, very free off, and but I like that, and makes it more fun, makes you stay on your toes. So it was good that way. I did get the apron early on and went to the back, so had to work my way back up through, but was able to do that. And I just stuck to the strategy and seemed to pay off pretty good. But I didn't have anything for Peg or Gary there, so good job to those guys.
And those two guys are very difficult to keep up with. But, I think we mentioned talking with you a few times, as well as John Held a few times, that, you learn a lot from racing behind guys who are faster than you. And, we noticed you get faster and faster every week. So, I'm looking forward to talking to you a little bit further up in the podium, maybe first place here before too long.
Right on. Sounds good. Thank you so much. Appreciate the broadcast and all you do, guys.
Great job tonight, Jeff.
Thank you.
Yeah, excellent job.
You too.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Is there anyone? Besides anyone that you just did, is there anyone you want to shout out before we let you go?
Yeah, probably my guys that I tend to chat with there and race with. We call each other a team. John Held and Sandy there sometimes with us, and John Henderson as well. So good to have those guys along.
All righty. Well, thank you for talking with us, Jeff, and hopefully we get to talk to you next time.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
All right, we'll go ahead and we'll move on to our second place finisher, the 78 of Gary Sapinski. Gary, is with him in the booth. You got me?
Yeah, well.
You were saying that, you were not going to be content with a top 5, and you were within a tenth of a second. I think another couple of laps you might have had it. Go ahead and talk us through that last run there on those tires.
It felt really good. I was kind of surprised. The car actually felt a little tight, and I realized something I forgot to do. I forgot to set my fuel. You can set it so when you go into auto fuel, I set it for 1 lap. It was on 1 lap. I was like, why does this car feel tighter? And I was actually catching Michael. I was like, holy crap, I'm catching him too. And I can see he was loose, and I was actually tight. But when I got to him, I felt that dirty air, and I was like, even if I could have caught him, I don't even know if I would have made the pass because the truck was so tight. But it was a lot of fun, though. I remember there was a lot of fun tonight, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it was quite something to watch, because I remember when we had that mid-race interview with you. You were saying that you were feeling that you needed to pit before Michael if you were going to make anything, and then he beat you to pit road.
Yeah, he did. He did. He did. He was going in around the same time. I had that feeling, but I really wanted to go in the same time he did, but there was a truck like literally right in front of me. I really didn't want somebody in front of me as I went in, because I felt like I could drive it in a little harder. And I went the next lap, and I lost a little bit there too, but that's all right. That's all right.
Well, absolutely valiant drive there. Not only that last stint, but the middle stint as well, where you're on those really old tires. And in fact, you're able to sort of stop the bleeding, so to say, to keep folks from getting too far ahead of you. I want to take an opportunity to go ahead and make mention. I think with this finish, that does clinch the championship for you. So congratulations on your championship win. I think that's a dominant season. I think 8 wins on the season, a bunch of runner-up finishes. So overall, how would you rate your season?
It's been very, very exciting. Even with Michael, me and Michael have just been duking it out all the time, and both series, like all of them. Every time we go in, we're always duking it out to see who can bring home the checker flag. But you know what? It doesn't matter. We're both part of the same team, and it's a whole family thing. And but no matter what, we were always happy whoever comes home with that checker flag.
Well, I'm very pleasant. Wrong word. I'm very pleased. That is a better word. I'm very pleased seeing you guys run up front, especially as hard as you guys race each other, because it puts on a lot of exciting racing. You guys race side by side, especially there in the closing laps. watching you guys bump draft at a track like Kansas to make up a lot of time. You guys are an absolute blast to watch. You two work great together.
Yeah, even when we go side by side, whatever, we know how each other drive. And I like everybody else out here. I know how they drive. I know how to give somebody else more room. But Michael, I can just rub right on him, and he can just rub right on me, and we know that how we're not going to wreck doing it. And when it makes really good TV out there, you guys can see it all the time, and it's really exciting for me and him. So we really enjoy it. We have a lot of fun. Everybody else out there enjoys it too.
Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us, Gary. Again, congratulations on your championship. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Oh, I'm going to thank you, Will. I'm going to thank the regulators, my teammates. I'm going to thank everybody out here for watching. All these other racers out here, these guys did an awesome job, especially Jeff and Michael tonight for getting the W. And that cute little dog right now he's petting. Thank you. And have a great night.
Well, thank you for talking with us, Gary. You have a good evening.
Thank you.
All righty, and that brings us to our race winner, the 777 of Michael Pegg, who, if he didn't have a towel before this race started, he's going to need one after this stream is over. Michael, swim me in the booth. You got me? Let's see here. You didn't mute yourself, did you, Michael? All right, so he might be having some technical difficulties. Looks like he bounced out. He may be back. We'll see. You got me, Michael? All right, hold on. Because I'm not even seeing you light up. I know his mic works because heard him talking to some folks during the race, and he's in my ear sometimes during the broadcast, and I heard him a few times, so I know it works. Now, as we work on that, again, want to go ahead and thank everyone for coming out and enjoying Lucky Dog Sim Racing here on Thursday nights. This was our season finale.
I have no idea what that was.
I see you lighting up. Michael, zoom in the booth. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. I was a little worried there for a second. I mean, I've mentioned, you talk about a guy, if he didn't need a towel before the race started, he definitely needs one now, especially after watching Gary come up as fast as he did.
Oh, my God. I told Brian, I said, where are we at tonight? He goes, Chicago. I said, really? I didn't want to take a bath tonight. Unbelievable. And then I saw Gary coming. I was like, man, what's going on here? He was not nowhere near. I wasn't watching the relative, Next thing I know, here he comes. I was like, oh, man, we got too many laps to go. He started just counting it down. I could see a tenth at a time. I got sideways a couple of times. So, yeah, it was really a couple more laps. He'd have been right there.
It was a lot of fun watching you, especially after that second caution. I mean, a whole bunch of you came to pit road and took tires and fuel. Some of you chose not even to take tires. I think you were one of the few who did. And then a whole bunch of people stayed out. I mean, what was it like, I guess, picking your way through that slower traffic there on that third restart?
Yeah, well, I wanted to get through clean, and I don't think they knew I had tires because they were kind of running defense on me, but it was okay. The bottom was a lot better starting out than the top was. I had a lot better success at the bottom, and a lot of them were going to the top on that, so I was able to squeak by.
Yeah, I was kind of noticing as the race went on, more and more people started running the top side of the track. I mean, noticed you were able to sort of run wherever you wanted. I mean, how did it actually feel out there?
I was asking Gary about it because he likes to run the bottom, and I like to run the bottom. I'm a bottom feeder, so it was really pretty good. It was loose, really loose, 1 and 2. 3 and 4 was not bad if you just let off and you'd roll right into it. But yeah, 1 and 2, if you were not on your game, boy, it would really come around on you.
I mean, Gary was mentioning that it was a lot tighter there on, on less fuel. Were you noticing it getting tighter as it went on, or was it getting looser as it went on?
I was still loose. Yeah, I didn't have any tightness at all tonight. Even behind the people tonight, it was still, even with the dirty air. I mean, me and Paul, we just couldn't break the ceiling when we were trying to catch the other guys in front of us tonight. We just couldn't catch them. We were trying, but overall, it worked out for the best.
Yeah, no, and it looked like you had the race-winning strategy there, coming down pit road, putting the 4 tires there on that stop. Looked like that was exactly what you needed to do. So, I mean, you and I have talked about it. Pitting's like gambling, and it looks like you came up aces tonight.
Yeah, we were talking about it, who was going to do what. They did not take tires. A lot of them didn't. Gary didn't take tires, and Paul, they were like 96, 94, so I was really worried. I was like, I wonder if I made the right decision here. But, yeah, turns out I did, so.
Well, definitely want to congratulate you. It was definitely a hard-fought victory, well-earned. I think we're talking about Gary. I think that does cinch you in second in the playoffs. You and Gary first and second in the playoffs. I mean, like I mentioned to him, you two work so perfectly together that you're able to do that. So congratulations, sir.
Yeah, he had a dominating season. He is really strong in the trucks. Normally I can get him a couple more times, but man, he was just a dominating performance this year or this season. Just really outstanding. Hats off to him. Yeah, he's a hard guy to beat, I tell you that.
Well, maybe next season you need to give 2% horsepower penalty to that 78 truck and see what that does.
I'm going to have Joel take him out every lap he comes by.
I might need that, actually. No, absolutely phenomenal race. Fantastic season. It's been a blast watching you guys race the way you have. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go, Michael?
Yeah, I want to thank all the Lucky Dog members and all the Lucky Dog people that watch. I want to thank Lucky Dog Broadcasting, especially you, William, Brian. Thank God Almighty himself. And I want to thank the regulators. I will also thank Molly, Tracy, Cash, and Winston.
Well, thank you, Michael. Again, it was a blast watching you this season. And hopefully we get to talk to you next time.
All right, you too. Thank you, sir.
All right. And I think that'll do us for this evening. Again, this was our season finale. Gary Sapinski is our points winner. Michael Pegg comes second. And that should put Ralph Blair. Ralph Blair should be our third place finisher. Sandy Curtis in fourth, and Randolph Richard fifth in the points. So that'll be your points top 5. Congratulations to all those drivers sticking it out and running hard. Always love seeing all you guys out here. We will have our super late model, our late model stock short track series tomorrow night. Xfinity's on Saturday, super speedways, Monday Gen 4s, and then our rounds of recruitment races continue next week. Tuesday Gen 6s, Wednesday open wheel, and our first recruitment race for trucks will be Thursday. So definitely check us out if you like racing with us. We race the same time every night. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is practice. 8 p.m. is qualifying. And we hope to see you out here. Anyway, until next time, have a good one.